So I see a lot of people saying that, oh, because this the shooter was found out to be someone that Nipsey Hussle referred to as a snitch, that there's no conspiracy. Who does a snitch to? Government agencies. From what they're saying, Nipsey thought he was a snitch because he came home early after catching bodies or a body. He was out of jail fast. So if this dude was out of jail fast, who did he snitch to? Who did he make a deal with? And why is it so far-fetched to think that they would let him out to commit a murder? And then let's go further, okay? Let's not forget that I told you guys in the video I did about snitches, I told you guys that Martin Luther King was on to Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson went to his higher-ups, allegedly. Jesse Jackson went to his handlers and told them that Martin Luther King knew that he was a snitch and he was outing him, and that they had to hurry up with the process, which was the killing of Martin Luther King. That was a snitch that set that up. Don't forget that Fred Hampton was killed in his sleep because a snitch, his homeboy, gave the FBI a blueprint of the apartment in which he slept with his pregnant girlfriend. So don't sit there and tell me that because the shooter has been found out to be a snitch that there is no conspiracy theory. And y'all still calling them conspiracy theories? After Tuskegee, after Flint, after all of these things and all that history has shown you, y'all still calling these things conspiracy theories? Then you have the nerve to talk down on people that are asking questions because we don't trust the very same people who are murdering us in the streets to solve our brother's murder? That's crazy to you? The response that some of you guys have had is absolutely mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. It says white St. Louis cops indicted for beating black protester who was an undercover cop. Now, that alone is deplorable, okay? But what I want you to pay attention to is for beating black protester who was an undercover cop. Why are there black undercover police in the protests? I want you to take a look at this video of this FBI informant who infiltrated LA. California. He was all over the place. And I'm also going to include a link so you can watch the entire interview with this gentleman. I'm going to find as many of those FBI, and I'm going to add those links below, okay? And so when you're out there, right, all over the country, all over the world, have your third eye open. Pay attention. Because not all skin folk is kinfolk. And that doesn't mean you got to stop fighting for your family. But you got to be smart. Pay attention. Pay attention. And be safe, family.
Tell me about some of the cultural organizations that you infiltrated and what you did.
PASLA, Mafunde, Watts Writers Workshop, which they had.
The Watts Writers Workshop?
Yes. Watts Writers Workshop, which was one of the oldest established black writers workshop.
That place was burned down.
Yeah. The Bureau had it burnt down.
How do you know that?
I know because I participated. I did the arson.
You burned down the Watts Writers?
Yes. Theater, I built the stage.
You built the stage?
Oh, yeah. When I got to the workshop, the stage that had been, the original stage that had been built needed an extension on it. The original part of the stage was in terrible condition. They had no lighting system. I put the lighting system in myself. I put the stage in myself. And that was a stage, man. And that was a theater. To do things that I didn't have to do, I would go out of my way. You know, like Mafunde would have a pageant and they needed someone to do the sound setup for him. And I'd say, of course, I'll do it for you. You know, that kind of thing. I was very well liked at one time in the community.
Would you say to American citizens that this situation of surveillance and infiltration continues to this day?
Oh, yes.
On the dimension that you experienced?
Probably much larger by now.
Larger?
Oh, yeah. Let me put it to you like this. Each year, everything gradually escalated up more and more. So I figure when I left, it didn't stop escalating. As they say, one monkey does not stop anybody's show.
And were killed in the raid. 4 of the 7 surviving occupants of the apartment were wounded. All were charged with assault and attempted murder.
And I remember walking out of the office and looking through a little clearing over on the next block, which was right in front of the Monroe Street address, and seeing a lot of police cars over there. And at that time, Bobby Rush came to the office. He had just come from over there, or maybe the coroner's office. In any case, we walked back over there, and we both were speechless. We just walked through the house and saw what had taken place and where he died, and it was shocking. And then I just began to realize that the information that I supplied leading up to that moment had facilitated that raid. I knew that indirectly I had contributed, and I felt it, and I felt bad about it. And then I got mad, and then I had to conceal those feelings, which made it worse. I couldn't say anything. I just had to continue to play the role.
FBI headquarters authorized payment of a $300 bonus to informant William O'Neill for, quote, uniquely valuable services which he rendered over the past several months, unquote.
Various felonies, including deprivation of constitutional rights, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and destruction of evidence. All of this stemming back to a night of protests after the verdict which acquitted former SLMPD officer Jason Stockley of first-degree murder last year. Took down one of their own, according to prosecutors, a black detective who was working undercover that night. Boone, Hayes, and Myers, who are white, used unreasonable force on the undercover officer, throwing him to the ground, kicking and striking him while he was compliant and not posing a physical threat. Also conspired to prevent information from reaching federal authorities, essentially hiding information. The indictment also alleges that Myers destroyed LH's phone to impede, obstruct, and influence the investigation. Text messages sent between the officers that prosecutors say expresses disdain for protesters and expressed excitement to use unjustified force against them. Officer Boone wrote, quote, a lot of cops getting hurt, but it's still a blast beating people that deserve it.
Probable cause evidence showing that Jesse Jackson, a.k.a. Jesse Louis Burns, acted as a key FBI operative in a covert operation which resulted in the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th. Jesse Jackson seems to have been one of an integrated covert assassination team that also included the U.S. Army sharpshooters, CIA, FBI, and Memphis police that assassinated Dr. King on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel. Ole Demigard fully credits Dr. William Pepper with the basic research for his conclusion. Old Demigard demonstrates that Jesse Jackson acted as a messenger between the head of the Dixie Mafia, the FBI CIA contractor for the King assassination, and the Lorraine Motel in changing Dr. King's ground floor room from 206 to 306 that had a balcony so the U.S. sharpshooters and other cable shooters would have a clear shot to Dr. King. Jackson got the message via a covert phone call from the Dixie Mafia chief's wife to a third party with instructions to change Dr. King's room to 306. On the day of the assassination, Jesse Jackson, along with his co-conspirator, police CIA operative Reverend Billy Kyles, were the only one of Dr. King's key inner circles not to wear ties, despite Dr. King's public reprimand and argument with Jackson minutes before he was shot that he would change into a tie, which Jackson vehemently refused. The U.S. Army sharpshooters and shooters involved in the King assassination had been issued orders to only shoot people wearing ties, which included Dr. King, Reverend Andrew Young, and possibly Reverend Ralph Abernathy, Dr. King's presumed successor. Okay, keep that in mind. This refusal by Jesse Jackson to wear a tie immediately prior to the assassination is probable cause that Jesse Jackson was part of the assassination team, adhering to its secret code of no ties for conspirators.